clip here in lieu of having open lab time. I'm going to kind of maybe convert my living room into kind of an open lab area. You have on Blackboard already those practice lab practicals. I suggest strongly that you watch, that you review them. They're really well put together. There's a lot of stuff on here. I'm going to try this just because I want something different to do, and I'll post this as a YouTube video, then link it to Blackboard for you to watch. So Lab Practical 2 practice. So if this were actual open lab, we would have these stations set up, as you know, and there's not just muscles here. This little post-it note was in an organized set of note cards that I have recently disorganized in my scramble to bring things home to work on. So the muscular system, both muscle labs 1 and 2, then there will be the first week back, so to speak, back in air quotes here, will be cranial nerve, central nervous system, special senses. Then we get into the cardiovascular system after that, and so everything through heart and cardiovascular system and blood, from muscles on through that, will be on your practical. So anyway, so stations that we would ordinarily set up might look something like this. Now on Blackboard, when you take this lab practical, there will be pictures that are labeled. You will have to provide most of the answers are going to have to be in fill-in-the-blank format, so you're going to have to, spelling's going to count. I'm being kind of flexible, not asking for exact matches, but matches that are pretty darn close, so you got to know your spelling just like usual. Anyway, so the stations will be, again, presented in a little different format, but something more like this. Like you might have a picture and it'll say, identify the structure indicated by the arrow, or we maybe have it labeled as A or B, like this one here has muscle A, muscle B. And again, in this one, now I don't have an A written here, but if I were to use this one on a Blackboard Lab Practical, I would have the letter A on it, or I would just say in the question, identify the muscle indicated by the arrow. Well, let's see, does this have anything on it? Yay! And on the back of this card, so A, or that one, is the orbicularis oculi. Now, I didn't have a picture, I didn't have time to, I had time, I just didn't take the opportunity to. I should have over here put, I can maybe draw it, no, I can't draw, put a picture of the rectus abdominis muscles and have them labeled there. But again, we don't have Big Ben or torso model, but I'll find pictures. In fact, I've already got lots of pictures on Blackboard for the lab practical, and some of them are just easy to find online. That's another thing. Go online and start looking at pictures of things. Test yourself. Type in something so you can get an idea what they look like. Here's another station that you would be likely to see in the actual lab practical if we were there on campus doing this, but we're not. Identify the brain structure, labeled A, labeled B. So now one that we ordinarily ask about is this little guy here. I don't like using my fingers to point because my hands look stupid. Let's point to this in this fashion. I'll use this piece of paper. So this little guy here, number 25, that's the pituitary gland. You should know that. There's all kinds of stuff on this surface, this posterior surface of the brain that we could label, take a picture of, that we would ask you about. The pituitary gland is a good one. Up here, the olfactory bulb, number 2, that's cranial nerve 2, that's the optic nerve, and then where it crosses is the optic chiasm. You might actually see something more like this. This has been handy to do for your homework, and then also taking pictures of this, uploading for your lab practical. So for example, I might have, for example, let's say the lobes. Say identify lobe 1, that's the parietal lobe, and identify lobe 4, that's the temporal lobe. Or structures like we have in this picture. Let's see, number 11 is pointing to, there's 11, it's pointing to the pituitary gland. 12 is the pons. There's all kinds of cool things. So make sure you're doing these assignments and reviewing these materials. Station 3. I don't know if there's anything on the back of that, but again, you're going to see a lot of ones that say identify the muscle, labeled A, labeled B, or the muscle indicated by the arrow, those types of things. So lots of stuff like that. I will be putting together more examples, and for this one, again, there's nothing on the back of this particular card, but one could envision, I'm going to move over here. Let's go over here. Something like this. Let's see. Here's a station set up. This is a new way to be doing this. Is either by. Oh, I hate the way I did this. I should have turned my phone sideways because now the video is going to look dumb. Well, I'm learning. I'm not much of a YouTuber, so I'll get better, I hope. Identifying muscle labeled A and muscle labeled B. A is the top one. I don't have a letter on it, but that one you should recognize as the gastrocnemius muscle. We won't accept calf muscle. We want the technical name. Below that, now down below, you get a little closer in, you can see the muscle right superficial, deep to that, underneath the Achilles tendon, and also underneath the gastrocnemius is the soleus. So there's what that would look like. And this is a pretty good example. You might see something like this on your lab practical, where the picture like this with arrows pointing to the indicated muscles, and you say, okay, identify that. All right, that's my first trial run at this. Stay tuned for more. Hopefully, we'll see how this goes.